title of our section is Illusion, Disillusion, the Paradoxical Gap of Fashion. I am Ayaka Kitagawa.
Rhea, Saad.
Ioanni.
And participating us through audio from the US is Treonna Turner. Our dress is a beautiful, long train white cotton muslin embellished with pineapple motifs worn around 1805 in Napoleonic French court. It was acquired as a private collection by Monsieur Christian de Galea, and the dress now belongs to Palais Galliera, la Musée de la Mode de la Ville de Paris, under the inventory code GAL 1962-108-28. Despite its decorative and patrimonial excellence, we take this dress as an example to contextualize our argument on fashion as a mediator of illusion. Through our performance and our selection of sources, we aim to demonstrate the paradoxical gap of each connotation embedded in the dress during its process of production, mediation, and consumption, and suggest a remediation of a dress from its lost meanings. What we will focus on are the two significant components of the dress that were fantasized, exoticized, and illusionized by the French court during this period in time: the pineapple and the cotton. Dr. Lauren O'Hagan from Cardiff University describes,
"The pineapple was previously unknown in the Old World, so it was free of cultural resonances of other fruits, which enabled people to create new meanings from it."
Through the performance, we question the newly embedded interpretations from this colonial imagination. As curators today, we aim to reveal the dress's lost meanings and unpack its past memories in order to propel their stories to the present and evolve into the future. At the same time, we take into concern how, as consumers of fashion or as visitors of museums, we are often left unaware of the complex stories and meanings that lies beneath a preserved garment. Historical garments from the past have been preserved and then transformed into this immortal and mythical entity, even when the wearer has been long gone. Thus, the concept of time is crucial for us, as this idea of immortality is directly intertwined to this idea of illusion. By revealing the muted reality of the cotton dress and showcasing the reality of time through our video of the pineapple, we remediate the distorted perception of the organic and disillusionized reality.
The objects that represent our material culture are silent bearers of history. Their past narratives are inscribed within the object. One seemingly innocent and overlooked example is the pineapple. This common and popular fruit that we encounter in our everyday lives is the perfect example to unpack how contemporary symbols have had considerably different meanings in the past. So what was the status of pineapple during the early 19th century? So the goal of many imperial expeditions was to explore and exploit the natural resources of colonies for profit. Rulers were presented with all sorts of fruits, plants, objects brought back as trophies. In this case, the pineapple captured the curiosity of Western colonizers and fueled an already lively interest among European elites in foreign and exotic cultures. The pineapple was among the array of exotic fruits Christopher Columbus amused royal patrons with upon return from his early New World expeditions. When we talk about pineapples, we can't not mention its link to the British Empire during the reign of Charles II. This painting depicts royal gardener kneeling before him and presenting him with what is said to be the first one. It's important to mention that during this period in time, there was a conflict of royal power between the French and the British Empire. Thus, in a way, having access to it was a way for the English to say, we can get pineapples, which actually meant, and you can't. And so from then on, the pineapple became the favorite symbol of status, and having access to it would be leveraged as proof of strength. It in turn became the favorite fruit of Louis XV, who asked to cultivate it in hothouses in order to secure its presence in the Botanic Garden of Versailles, and used to cost around 1,000 francs a year to actually maintain it.
English poet and antiquarian Charles Lamb loved the fruit erotically, too ravishing for moral taste. Like lovers, kisses she bites. She is a pleasure bordering on pain, from fierceness and insanity of her relish.
So the exotic appearance of this fruit, with this golden crown on top, became the favorite symbol of status. The exotic appearance of this fruit, with this golden crown on top, became a symbolic manifestation of the divine rights of the kings. The distance the pineapple had to travel to get to Europe meant that few people had actually seen or tried one. Factors like perishability, exclusivity, taste, and rarity added more value to the fruit, which used to cost around $8,000. Only the wealthy and the powerful could actually afford it. And this added an extra mythical quality to the fruit, and being able to consume it became a form of fantasy. Pineapples became the fascination at court and fueled the imagination of decorative arts, such as in furniture, paintings, but also in textiles. Having a pineapple as a centerpiece in important dinner parties was so highly regarded, it was leveraged as proof of strength and decadence. Displaying and serving a pineapple said as much about a host's purse as it did about their sense of hospitality, just as serving a rare vintage wine does today. So the culture of pineapples, its cultivation in the Botanic Garden of Versailles, and its link to foreign lands nourished its mythical fantasy linked to luxury. This iconographic success was manifested above all in printed fabrics, intended for a bourgeois clientele. Fashion became fascinated by its strange shapes and connotations. Pineapple is the ultimate luxury dream. Contemporary designers seized the pineapple motif by multiplying its decorative proposals in order to embellish their designs, adding luxury and exoticism into their aura. We can see that designers transpose the vegetation of distant lands into the design of their fabrics, which is in turn also translated into the pages of fashion magazines. What is being disseminated here is the idea of luxury and fantasy. The pineapple serves as a imaginative emblem of the exotic luxury that has been domesticated in a way from colonial power. What was disseminated as the optimal idea of luxury was in fact unable to survive the trips by sea to Europe due to its perishability. Behind the mythical quality of this fruit lies a far grimmer tale, ultimately linked to brutality. In the Caribbean colonies, every estate had kitchen gardens in order to grow fruits and vegetables in order to feed the white occupants, and these plantations relied on an immense population of enslaved Africans. So we can see how material culture offers an understanding of how people make sense of the world. A piece of clothing enclosed with memories can be regarded as a form of archival information and as a carrier of knowledge. Our attempt to unfold these stories not only offers a glimpse into the lives of the traces that were rendered invisible, but also offers a reconsideration of the place that these material culture have in our lives as well.
The era of the directoire revolutionary changed feminine fashion. However present in France since the 17th century, transparent and white muslin became extremely fashionable at the French court during the 18th century. Portraits of the era depicting the three most celebrated beauties of the Directoire society, Joséphine Bonaparte, Thérèse Tallien, and Juliette Recamier, give evidence of the wide diffusion of the cotton muslin in France. While muslin was used for everyday dressing and country promenades or to walk at the Tivoli gardens, leaving little to the imagination, cotton muslins also dominated ceremonies and soirees at the imperial court. Worn with several accessories, they became the favorite garment for high society's ladies at balls and events, as testified by the coiffure plates from Mode Manière du Jour. Muslins were mainly imported from India by the Portuguese Carrera and the Dutch, English, and French East India companies. Starting from the 17th century, accused of impoverishing national economies, their importation and use was subject to restrictions, in line with the protectionist policies of the mercantilism. Following the latest restrictions on cotton muslin, indeed, Empress Josephine is pictured in 1808 wearing a dress recalling the shapes adopted by the Directoire style, but made out of silk, a locally produced textile representing the economic strength of the city of Lyon.
Cottons were prohibited first in France. However, evidence suggests that these laws might have been rather ineffective at stopping consumers from wearing forbidden cloth.
During the 18th century, indeed, in order to jeopardize the success of the cotton dresses, European countries domestically outlawed muslin sale and consumption, but they did not forbid their trade from India, allowing the re-export to colonial and African markets. This economic strategy favored their smuggling and illegal diffusion in France. African markets represented an important center for Indian cotton's trade. France, as much as other European countries, took advantage of the African taste for the textiles, particularly appropriate for the climate, exchanging them for enslaved African people. Clearly then, the picture you can see in the screen is only one of many inaccurate representations of African people as naked savages. Throughout the 18th century, 3/4 of the commodities sold by France on the African market were Indian cottons. Consequently, around 3/4 of the French-African sales were aimed to purchase enslaved people, then traded in the French West Indies. The purchase of slaves will feed the human capital responsible for the production of raw cotton in the fields of the New World. At the end of the 18th century, the importation of cotton from West Indies to Europe became a big affair. British West Indies dominated the production and were responsible for the fulfillment of the cotton needs of the European markets. In 1802, Napoleon restated slavery in the French Caribbean colonies in order to compete with the economic strength of the British colonies and increase the production of raw materials. In French and British West Indian colonies, however, cotton was not only produced, but cotton muslins were also consumed in the everyday life of free slaves and colonials in different qualities and varieties. Imported from Europe or from Asia through Europe, cotton clothing was part of the daily wearing habits in the French colonies, and likely represented one of the cultural reasons behind the predilection of muslins by Josephine Bonaparte, born and raised in Martinique.
As we have seen, the two organic materials, pineapples and the cotton, were under a great illusion that was intentionally or unintentionally deprived from its reality during this time of Napoleon's court. However, it is not solely in this period in time that objects that represent our material culture has been exoticized, illusionized, or appropriated. It is the ill characteristic of fashion that feeds on and values fantasy and luxury. What we have constructed here on the table is a distorted image of a cotton dress inflicted with the details we tend to miss when we look at a luxurious piece of garment. The final visual distorted image of the cotton dress aims to play with this idea of perception, the transformation of what we see, how we experience the visual, which inevitably transforms the way we see ourselves. We would like to finish with a quote by Beckert-Saven from the book Empire of Cotton, A Global History.
As you read this sentence, chances are you are wearing something woven from cotton, and it is just as likely that you have never plucked a cotton ball from its stem, seen a wispy strand of raw cotton fiber, or heard the defeating noise of a spinning mule in a power loom. Cotton is as familiar as unknown.
Thank you.